Well, I think you can think of a lot of challenges, but I think one of the most important things to remember about drylands is that they're shaped by processes of high levels of variability, patchy, heterogeneous resources, which require a huge amount of mobility for people making use of those drylands through pastoralism. So when that becomes more challenging, it becomes more challenging when the variability increases to a level where those techniques don't work through climate change, for example. It becomes more challenging when there are particular areas within those landscapes that are removed because of infrastructure development, conservation, carbon projects, energy projects, and so on, what we call key resources. And the challenges arise in drylands when the processes of political change, more broadly, result in the undermining of communities' capacity to respond flexibly and adaptably to drought and so on. But I'm, to be honest, quite positive. You framed this as challenges, but actually, in many respects, there are a lot of opportunities in the drylands, because we see, and as we've discussed in this summer school, huge numbers of examples of how pastoralists are adapting to these new forms of variability, new challenges. So perhaps compared to, I don't know, a farmer or somebody living in an urban setting or whatever, climate change is certainly a challenge, but it's maybe not quite as much as a challenge as in other places, because pastoralists have always lived with climate variability. They have to live with more, then they've got the techniques and approaches to respond to that. So perhaps the biggest challenge is the removal and the constraining of land. The pressures and the extension of capitalism and capitalist forces and state interventions that transform the drylands in particular ways and remove the ability of people to survive. And very often when people do those assessments, they say, oh, we're only taking 50 hectares or 100 hectares or so on for an irrigation scheme. But the problem with that, if that's the removal of the key resource, the wetter area, the place where people go for dry season grazing, the place where at the end of the drought the last animals can survive, if that's removed, then you can undermine the whole system. So I think one of the challenges is really to think of these as complex systems in highly variable settings. Okay, so can research help? Definitely can. Better understanding. I mean, there's been a long history of poor understandings of dryland areas because the framing of drylands and pastoralism has always been rather negative. These are the places which are drought prone, where people are marginal, where production is low, etc., etc. So people coming from the wetter areas of a country such as Kenya come and see these drylands and say, oh my goodness, this is desertified, this is terrible, this is awful. But actually I think the role of research is to really understand the ecology, the social lives, the economics, the whole livelihood system. And by unpacking that through proper, detailed empirical data, as we've been trying to do over many, many years, we can challenge some of those conventional narratives that cast drylands and pastoralism in particular in that negative light. So whether it's ecologists looking at rangelands, coming up with ideas around non-equilibrium ecology and these ideas of key resources that I've just mentioned, or whether it's social scientists looking at how different people in pastoral communities respond to drought in highly productive ways, such as this new work on high reliability professionals, or whether it's economists looking at the real value of products coming out of the drylands, which is massive and often uncounted. So I think there's a role for many researchers coming from different backgrounds to really understand what's happening and challenge some of these misunderstandings that are so stuck in people's minds.
Yeah.
type of teaching was fairly conventional. The numbers of people who had engaged in real sustained field work in pastoral areas probably fairly limited. So the supervisors and the lectures and the sources of material for many students was not compatible with what often they knew as people coming from the drylands themselves, which presents a challenge. So what we wanted to do is offer a space and a summer school which provides the opportunity for people to feel confident in their own knowledge and in their own understandings of the places they come from. Now, not everybody in the summer school comes originally from dryland areas. People come via town or via the agricultural areas, but people have a passion and a connection to drylands and pastoralism and interested from a research point of view. And I think the challenge of the summer school, but also its great opportunity, is for this group of students, in this case 33 or something like that, out of 250 who applied. I mean, that was one of the surprises. We didn't realize at all that there were that many people out there now in the process of doing postgraduate degrees on pastoralism and drylands. Extraordinary. But to give the opportunity of these 33-odd students to come together, talk together, interact with us, think about things together, and then go off into the world, hopefully, to make a change in ways that we couldn't do by ourselves. Mm-hmm. Now, I hope that all participants think about what the new narrative means for them in their own research and in their own workplaces. Because the nice thing about the summer school is most people also have jobs and they're working in NGOs or in government or in international organizations. That they get to grips with the themes of the new narrative, but also translate that into their own settings. Because the summer school is a self-learning process and an unlearning process for some. It's not that we have a recipe for this is the new narrative, you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the ideas that center on this. Translate them into your own setting, think about them for your own context, and bring them into the workplaces and the academic spaces that you inhabit. And people will bring to those spaces a different version, but will be located in what they think and who they are and where they come from. I think it's a shift, and it's a shift we want to encourage. I mean, there are many people who have come from these regions who are leading professors. We had Professor Gufu Oba with us on the first day giving the opening lecture as a prime example. So this isn't exclusively the case, but yes, I think there has been a pattern whereby people from relatively richer backgrounds, from northern universities, from different cultural settings as well, are coming to different places, doing research, and not necessarily building the capacity of the local researchers to go the next step, to make this their own. I think this has changed. It's changed massively because, I mean, as I said to you before, 250 people applied for this summer school. We have 33 absolutely brilliant students on this course, which is a great privilege to be involved in. 2-3 years' time, with those who are doing their PhDs or whatever, hopefully they'll be in university settings who will come and be able to lead this course, as I said, doing me out of a job. Yeah.
Which is a good thing anyway.
Absolutely, no, I'm saying it is a good thing. Yeah. No, it's totally a good thing. They can invite me just as an old person to come and look, but absolutely, this should be run by and developed by and led by people from the region, which of course is CRTT, Professor, Hussein and Rahma and Washira, they're all from here, or from at least from Kenya, and they're leading this and have been central both to the conceptualization and organization of the school. My role has only been to provide a little bit of input and support to that process.